It's finally good to sit back down with you, Don. It's been a hectic week.
Right.
Jumping Jack Tax conferences this Saturday. I know you and Dana been running around. You ain't got no haircut.
Nothing.
But we still got to give the people what they want. So I've been thinking, and there's a question that's been on my mind lately is, especially you, because I seen both of y'all as a strong couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I'm curious about is what weaknesses did you have to overcome to actually become that strong man to build that strong couple?
It's a great question. The first thing that pops up in my mind that my father-in-law kept drilling in my head was, Don, you have to board up the house before the storm. Don't board up the house during the storm. And I always did that. And he's like a man of many quotes. Like, you ever met somebody who like got all of these quotes for days? He's one of those people. And that, it always like try to figure out what that meant. And now I finally understand that it's a quote based off of procrastination. You know, like taking things to the last minute. Like I'll tell you, like I was one of them dudes that every time there was a task at hand and it was 3 weeks away, I would wait until the day before to get it done. 24 hours, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that working under pressure, I'll do my very best, which that very well may be the case. But then there's so many other scenarios where I did it to the last minute within that 24 hours, and I didn't predict all the problems that I was going to deal with that I would have been able to figure out 3 weeks ahead of time. So what I've been learning just as a husband is that I have to be a forward thinker, especially for my wife and my family. Like, I gotta always be, and that's the concept of boarding up the house before the storm. I always have to be in the mindset of what's this next problem that could possibly come, and how can I stop it before it gets there? You know, like for example, me and my wife had an argument. We had an argument before, and the argument was about the dishes. You know, she felt as though that every time we came in the house, it was like, hey, we both work. We both are running this business together. When I get home, she's frustrated because she was doing all the dishes. She had to also cook and clean up and everything. And I remember, like, she used to get so frustrated at me. Used to sit down like, yo, can you just help me? And it kind of was like out of sight, out of mind to me. Like, I would just sit back and relax, and I realized I was putting all the pressure down onto her. And then she kind of sat and had a conversation with me like, yo, can you just help me, because I'm really just having an issue with all of this, and I want you to just step up and do your part. Like, we both work. This isn't like it's not like a normal household to where it's like, you know, maybe I can do that because I'm staying at home or whatever. We both work. We work hard. Like, you know, I need your help. So what I had to learn was I had to now learn of how to put a procedure in place so that we never got back to that point of arguing about dishes ever again.
What procedure do you?
So the procedure that I put into place was every night before we go to bed, I always make sure I intentionally, right after she's done cooking, I intentionally stand up in the kitchen with her, and every night before we go to bed, I already start cleaning the dishes while she's cooking. I ingrained it in my head now. I don't want to get us back to that point to where, like, yo, she just told me that 3 days later, it's like, damn, I'm not doing it again. I had, like, in order to be a forward thinker as a man and for your family, you got to put procedures in place. Never think that you're just smarter than, never think that you could just operate off of memory. You know, I used to try to do that all the time, and it used to fail me. It used to fail my wife, used to fail my business, you know, thinking that I could just remember everything up here. Don't do that. Anything that you want to do, write it down as a procedure. Oh, my wife says she doesn't like doing all the dishes every single night. So I would write it down inside of my planner. And then I also put a schedule in place that alerted me at 8 o'clock p.m. every single night to get up and go do them dishes and everything. Guess what? It made it a happier home. You know, it was another scenario that I could remember where my wife said something to me about how she loves when I bring her gifts randomly, you know, and how I like to surprise her and keep it spontaneous, you know. You got to listen for things like that. As a man and as a husband, again, a lot of things go out of sight, out of mind, because you just grinding, you know, you working, and you forget about the small things that makes your wife happy. So I remember she said that to me. So what I did, I actually went into my notes. This is, again, thinking ahead, boarding up the house before the storm. You don't want her to get to the point to where she finally got to say something to you like, yo, why haven't you been doing this for me? Now it becomes an argument. Don't do that. You know, the smarter man would, okay, I heard what she said. Now what I'm going to do? I went to my notes. I actually started writing down every single size from her shoes to her pants, her shirt, her undergarments, everything in between. I wrote down all the sizes, got everything. So now what I started doing was I started actually going to stores, like going to Victoria's Secret or going to different places and just bringing home random gifts. I got it right here, and I created a calendar that alerted me. Now, for some people, they'll sit and say, well, why do you need an alert to make your wife happy? It should just be ingrained inside of you. I don't personally believe that like it's just ingrained in you. I think it's something that if you're a busy person, you got a lot going on, then you create reminders. That's what they're set for. It's about being intentional, I believe. Intentionality is not something that I don't believe comes normal to anybody. Intentionality comes with your level of care, comes with what's going to make me remember. And it's like I'm just intentional with everything I do. And I think that by boarding up the house before the storm and by being intentional and by writing down all of the notes about my wife and having a calendar and having alerts set up for all the things that I know is going to make her happy, I'm stopping so many problems that arise in the future. And I think that as men, if we learn how to do that, I promise you, we're going to be well ahead. And that's not just with your wife. That comes even with your business. Don't wait till the last minute to do things. You're going to run into mad problems. Even your family. Don't wait until the last minute to have those conversations with your family. If you got a problem, address the problem. Board up the house before the storm. Create a solution. And I think this is the big thing too. As men, we have to be solution oriented. You know what I'm saying? Don't just come with a problem and not have a solution as to how to fix it. Again, you're going to have your wife and your kids looking up to you. You can't just tell them, hey, you can't just have a conversation about the problem and then say, hey, I don't know what to do. Nah, have a solution in place and make sure that you leading them in the right direction.